The epic genre. This genre narrates historical events about the past of a nation. It usually makes an acceleration of the heroes of the past and relieves adventures in a glorious day that sometimes can be fantastic. The large poems created on this genre has a story, which are the actions or events that happen within the text, and also a theme, which is the idea of the text, the central but not explicit, and they are created in a chronological order. Some characteristics of the genre are the mixture of fantasy and reality. They usually talk about gods, which were characters who appear and coexist with humans. Verbally spread aedos, who were the people that tell stories to aristocrats in ancient Greece, and one of the more relevant characteristics is that there is an invocation to a muse at the beginning of the text, in which the poet is asking for help to tell the story. Fragment of epic genre. Since Urania on her lovely throne has sent me from Pera, a golden pregnant loaded with glorious songs. By the flowery heavers he takes delight in, or in a long-necked swan, delight in his mind. You come to seek the flowers of pins. Pythian, Apollo, all which choruses of Delphinians loudly sing at your glorious temple. Meanwhile we sing of how his son of Abiotri and bold-minded man left Otalia devoured by fire, and arrived at the headland with waves and around it. There he saw he was going to sacrifice from his booty 9 loud-blowing balls for Sun and Zeus, lord of the widespread clouds, and 2 for the god who rouses the sea and spurns the earth, and a high-horned unyoke ox for the virgin Athena, whose eyes flash with might.
The epopee is a subgenre in which the adventures of a hero are told in a poetic narrative. Facts are narrated, but the structure is in verse. It has most of the characteristics of the epic we saw earlier. Examples of epopees are Epic of Gilgamesh, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Iliad, and the Odyssey. Narrative authors: Valmiki, Virgilio, Homer, Aeneid, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Epic of Gilgamesh. Invocation to Muse. The place where it takes place is usually fast. Use of epithelia and repetitive formula. There are long
Dispirited, his chest soaked with his dying blood, preternatural anger streaming from his eyes, the son of Turnus appeased the ghost of Troy with a war. Afterwards, now all Athens rebuilds the shared houses of his dominion. The walls of the city, which lie in scattered heaps, commence to be set back in place. The bronze towers are to be taken down, and the rooftop choirs extinguished with diligence.
Songs in the Middle Age. The medieval literature started with the fall of the Roman Empire and it ended with the fall of Constantinople. By characteristics, it has that the texts have content with religious faith, there were spirit times, and a taste for adventure like knights. Most of their works are in verse and romantic prose. They used Old English and the domination of French language. Some of their main topics had chivalry, magic, and love. Also, 3 main authors from that age are Gonzalo de Berceo, Marco Polo, and Geoffrey Chaucer. Their compositions were Miracles of Our Lady, Travels, and the Canterbury Tales in the same order. Fragment from Miracles of Our Lady. Miracle 1. The Fornicating Sexton. Friends, if you would wait a short while, there is yet another miracle that I would like to tell, which God designed to reveal through Holy Mary, whose milk he suckled with his own mouth. A blessed monk was in a monastery where it was a do not find in the reading, so I cannot say. He loved Holy Mary with all his heart, and each day genuflected before her image. Each day he bowed before her image, he would bend his knee and say, Hail Mary. The abbot of the house gave him the sextonship, for he considered him prudent and free from folly. The wicked enemy, vicar of Beelzebub, who always was an easy enemy of good people, that wily adversary was able to stir things up so much that he corrupted the monk. He made him a fornicator.
The Renaissance refers to the rebirth of humanism during the 14th, 15th, and 16th centuries in Europe. The Renaissance period was a time of rebirth of humanism and new discoveries in fine arts, music, literature, philosophy, science, technology, architecture, religion, and spirituality. Its main characteristics were interest in the classical thought of the Greeks and Romans. This revival of classical thought was a rejection of the barbarism and the corruptions of the centuries since the times of the Greeks and Romans. The embracing of humanism, whereas medieval scholars had been concerned with the harnessing of reason in the defense of the religion, the Renaissance scholar, poet, and philosopher concerned himself with the real world, the world of nature and man. Also, the commercial revolution began as feudalism died, and different areas of the European countries developed important urban commercial centers. By the middle of the period, small-scale trading developed into capitalism commercial, and a revolution had certainly begun. Also, trading was conducted overseas. The creation of the Renaissance state came about after the decline of papal and imperial dominance left Italy, and a bellicose condition began as larger states, and also they absorbed lesser ones. Between their most famous authors are Dante Alighieri, Francesco Petrarca, and William Shakespeare, who also compositioned the Divine Comedy, the songbook, who is also known as the Canzoniere, and the Merchant of Venice. Disgraced me and hindered me 500,000, laughed at my losses, mocked at my gains, scorned my nation, thwarted my bargains, cooled my friends, hated my enemies. And what's his reason? I'm a Jew, hath not a Jewess, hath not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections, passions, fed with the same food, hurt with the same weapons, subject to the same diseases, healed by the same means, warmed and cooled by the same winter and summer, as a Christian is? If you prick us, do we not bleed? If you tickle us, do we not laugh? If you poison us, do we not die? And if you wrong us, shall we not revenge? If there are like you in thirst, we shall resemble you in that. If a Jew wrong a Christian, what is his humility? Revenge. If a Christian wrong a Jew, what should his sufferance be by a Christian example? Why revenge? The villainy you teach me, I will execute, and it shall go hard, but I will better the instruction. The main topic on this fragment is how the character, who is a Jew, talks about the non-existent differences between him and the Christian that hates him, other than the religion he professes. And the type of narrator is omniscient.
Golden Age in Spanish, Siglo de Oro, extending from the early 16th century to the late 17th century, was a period mainly represented by chivalric and pastoral novels like an anonymous written novel, Lazarillo de Tormes, and Don Quixote de la Mancha by Miguel de Cervantes. All of them have in common patriotic, religion, realism, picturesque, and romantic characteristics. Some other literary works are La Celestina by Fernando Rojas, Puente de Ovejuna by Lope de Vega. A fragment of the Celestina would be: más desaventurados de que me acabes de oír, porque la paga sería tan fiera la cual mereces tu loco atrevimiento. Y el intento de tus palabras, Calisto, ha sido de ingenio de tal hombre como tú. ¿Haber de salir para perder en la virtud de tal mujer como yo? Vete, vete de ahí, torpe. The type of narrator used in this literary work is omniscient, and the main topic of the story is the love and passion that Callisto feels for Meligue.